In this video, we will describe what factors to take into account when choosing a HEPA filter unit, how it should be installed and maintained so that it remains effective. Adding portable HEPA filter units can be a simple approach for improving the air quality in a classroom, as most simply require a simple setup and plug-in to use. However, there are a few things that need to be considered.
Our focus here is on devices using a filter, often called a HEPA filter. HEPA filter units are often rated using a value called the Clean Air Delivery Rate, or CADR. This is a value usually in cubic meters per hour that indicates how much clean air the device can produce. If you take the volume of your classroom and multiply it by 4 to 6, that is a good estimate for how much capacity you need in terms of CADR.
Rather than having one large HEPA filter unit for the room, having 2 to 3 smaller units that add up to the same CADR can also be an option. If they are spread out around the classroom, they can provide a more uniform mixing of the air and they might be less noisy. You will need to consider the size of the devices and how multiple units will fit within the space available in the room. All HEPA filter units produce some noise, and this can vary significantly depending on the model device. It is a good idea to look for devices that have a noise rating below 45 decibels for the airflow setting that you require. The HEPA filter unit is likely to be too loud if it is above 55 decibels.
Many devices have 1 or 2 normal flow setting and then also turbo or boost mode. This turbo mode can be useful to clear the air for short periods, but it is normally too noisy for everyday use. Some children may be particularly sensitive to the noise from HEPA filter units and may find them distracting. Before investing in several devices, it can be a good idea to test out the device to see if there are any issues.
When choosing a HEPA filter unit, consider how easy it is to use. Devices with simple settings can be more readily operated by anyone who uses the classroom. Some devices are Wi-Fi enabled so that they can be controlled with apps. This might pose challenges in schools where firewalls can limit the use of such controls. Air cleaning devices that use HEPA technology are generally very safe, but many are not designed with schools in mind. Look for devices that are robust, easy to clean, and will not topple over easily. Also, watch out for the air vent holes, as some might have holes that fingers can get stuck in, or are places that pencils, Lego, and all kinds of other items from the classroom can be busted.
Air cleaning devices vary in price from a few £100s to over £1,500, depending on the brand and model of the device. Many of the cheapest devices are not well suited to classrooms as they are not robust enough, don't have sufficient airflow, or are too noisy. The running costs are also important to consider. Filters are likely to need replacing once per year, and the cost of these can vary significantly.
The day-to-day running cost of most HEPA filter units is quite low. Devices that predominantly use filters can have a power consumption as low as 20 to 30 watts, which equates to around 8 to 12 pence per day to run.
Each HEPA filter unit will require a plug socket, and it might be necessary to undertake small amounts of electrical work to ensure there are sufficient plug sockets in a classroom. Some devices come with their filters already installed and ready to go. However, others need a small amount of setup, including removal of plastic, packaging from inside the unit, and proper installation of filters. Check the manual before getting started and follow the manufacturer's instructions.
Devices are best positioned away from walls and making sure that they are not blocked by curtains or furniture. In classrooms, they also need to be in locations where they are not in the way and their trailing cables are not likely to be a trip hazard. If one device is used, it should be placed centrally. If there are multiple devices, they should be spread around the room as much as possible. Conducting a risk assessment when installing and maintaining the HEPA filter unit is recommended. It can include the usual checks for electrical equipment, but also making sure that the devices are not blocking fire doors or posing a trip hazard.
It is a good idea to have someone in the school, often a site manager, who takes responsibility for HEPA filter units and can be a point of contact if there are any issues. Having support and training in place to help staff use the devices effectively is an important part of implementing HEPA filter units in classrooms and improving classrooms' air quality.
A HEPA filter needs to be properly maintained to be effective. The best way is to check and follow the manufacturer's instruction. It will most likely involve regularly changing the filters. They usually last between 6 and 12 months, but this will change depending on the model and the pollution levels. You must refer to the manufacturer's instructions for the appropriate frequency and procedures for changing the filter in a safe manner. For example, wearing suitable protective equipment.
The devices should also be regularly inspected and checked for wear and tear and electrical issues, including within your school's regular electrical testing procedures. HEPA filter units can be very useful tools to manage the air quality in your classroom. The specific number and size of air filter needed will vary depending on your school and your needs. HEPA filter units will also only work if they are used, and the best way to ensure that is to make sure that they are currently installed and maintained regularly.